Hi, I'm Joe, and today Epic Reads and I are excited to bring you a speculative fiction book haul. And between these books, you'll see some common themes like grief and magical realism and even time travel. And I think it's really beautiful and fascinating how these amazing authors take these ideas and then make them their own with their incredibly creative concepts. So let's get started. First up, we have The Survivor Wants to Die at the End by Adam Silvera, and this is the third book in his Deathcast series. It's a YA contemporary that mixes a few genres like sci-fi and fantasy and romance. In this world, there is a company called Deathcast, and it predicts when people are going to die within the next 24 hours, which this world refers to as the end day. And our two main characters, Paz and Olano, both have very complicated relationships with the company Deathcast. Paz's life is lonely, and he is sort of just tired of waiting for this call from Deathcast to tell him about his end day, and so he decides to take matters into his own hands. But when he does so, a boy saves his life, and I am assuming that this boy is Olano. Olano, on the other hand, is the heir to the Deathcast empire, but underneath that fancy title, he's actually really struggling, and mostly it's because of the relationship that he has with his father. But then, just to make matters worse, an organization called the Death Guard pops up, and they are definitely threatening Olano. Together, Paz and Olano might just be able to help each other with their respective struggles, and maybe even go so far as to help each other learn how to truly live. Next up is the Inbetween Bookstore by Edward Underhill, and this is an adult fantasy with elements of magical realism and time travel. We meet Darby, a trans man who, in desperate need of a fresh start, actually moves back to this town called Oak Falls. But when he gets there, he's kind of surprised to find out that the town has changed quite a bit. Something that doesn't seem to have changed, though, is this bookstore called Inbetween Books. And it's a space where Darby felt safest as a child, and as he grew up, he even decided to work there. And a sense of deja vu only increases when he realizes that all the newspapers in the bookstore are dated from 2009, and the cashier looks an awfully lot like him when he worked there. And now it's up to Darby to figure out if this encounter with teenage him can be the catalyst towards changing his current life for the better. He literally comes face to face with thoughts that so many of us have, like if we'd taken that risk or if we'd made a different choice, how different would our lives be today? Our third book is Am Not Jessica Chen. This is by Anne Leong, and it is a YA book with magical realism and dark academia vibes. Our main character is 17-year-old Jenna Chen, who unfortunately has just failed her immigrant parents' expectations by not being accepted into any of the Ivy League schools she applied to. With a deep hope to become more like her successful Harvard-bound cousin named Jessica, Jenna makes a wish, and it comes true. Jenna becomes trapped inside the body of Jessica, and now she attends Jessica's very competitive private school, and she has access to all of Jessica's private journals. And Jenna starts to realize that Jessica's life isn't as great as she once thought it seemed, and there is a lot of competition and a lot of pressure there. And when people, including her own parents, struggle to remember the existence of Jenna, she has to decide which role she's willing to play and which life she's willing to give up. Next up, we have Meet Me at Blue Hour by Sarah Suk, and this is a YA sci-fi with the friends to lovers trope. We meet Yenna, a 17-year-old who is working at her mother's memory erasing clinic in South Korea, but ever since her best friend Lucas moved away a couple years ago without ever saying a word, she sort of felt this disconnect from society with this really big internal struggle. Then we actually get to meet Lucas, and Lucas is determined to get his grandpa into a new trial happening at the clinic where the goal is actually to restore memories. So this, of course, brings Yenna and Lucas face to face, and Yenna is surprised to discover that Lucas has no memory of her at all. As the two get to know each other again, they try to work out what happened all those years ago that led them to this specific outcome, and if they can create a new second beginning to their friendship. Afterlife by Gayle Forman is a YA contemporary fantasy that uses magical realism to delve into the heavy but important topic of grief. It's a seemingly normal day when Amber arrives home from school on her bike, but when her mom sees her, her mom screams. And to be fair, she has a really good reason, and that reason is that 7 years ago, Amber died while riding that bike and being hit by a car. Amber, of course, is struggling with her own understanding of this wild and unusual situation. She's forced to question what kind of person she previously was and why she was given this second chance at life. But Amber's return does impact more than just herself. Her parents are now estranged, her sister is now 7 years older, and that's not even mentioning her old friends and her old boyfriend. Afterlife explores the effects a singular person can have on their community and on the world, while also celebrating the hard and beautiful complexities of both life and death. Up next, we have Grief in the Fourth Dimension by Jennifer Yu, and this is a YA novel that merges fantasy and sci-fi to discuss grief and the afterlife. It focuses on two people, Caroline and Kenny, who were classmates in life, but they never really seemed to cross paths though. Caroline's schedule was filled with things like softball and family get-togethers. Kenny focused on things like NASA photo books and working at his parents' Chinese restaurant. Death is a commonality for us all though, and it is is in death that Caroline and Kenny find themselves being roommates, and this specific room seems to be outside the rules of time and space. In this room is a TV that shows them their loved ones' lives, and it also grants their wishes, albeit with a sense of unexpected humor. Together, they watch their family's lives on Earth and discover that they can influence events. Through this process, Caroline and Kenny might just understand the connection between both their lives and their deaths, and maybe even how to help people heal from these huge losses. And last up for today's book haul is The River Has Roots by Amal El-Motar, and this one here is a fantasy novella. In this, there's a family who lives in a small town on the edge of fairy. Together, they harvest enchanted trees while honoring an ancient pack to sing to them in thanks for the magic they provide. And there are two sisters in this family named Esther and Isabel, and they're very close. They love each other deeply, and they are at the heart and center of this story. But when one of the sisters rejects a forceful suitor in favor of someone she actually loves from fairy, the sisters' bonds and lives are put at risk. And that leaves us, the reader, to read and figure out if their bond and connection can defy even death itself. And that is it for today's speculative fiction book haul. Thank you so much for joining us. In the comments, be sure to tell us what you're currently reading, which books from this haul you're looking forward to reading, and we will see you in the next one. Bye!